late. It's not too late. Any chance we can see you making a play even after Iowa, New Hampshire? There's still plenty of time, Governor.
You know, it's not too late for folks to jump in. And I don't know, you know, who knows what will happen in the future.
That was Sarah Palin on Follow the Money from Fox Business. But with an already crowded field, do the Republicans really need even more candidates? Joining me now is CNN political contributor Mary Matlin and Steve Deace, nationally syndicated radio host with the Salem Radio Network. He's co-author of We Won't Get Fooled Again, Where the Christian Right Went Wrong and How to Make America Right Again. And welcome to you both. Let me start with you, Mary Matlin. I mean, is it too late for Sarah Palin? Technically, is it too late?
Not technically. It hasn't been done. We haven't had a brokered convention for a couple of decades, but there's a lot of cocktail chatter about a brokered convention or a late entrant because of some of the issues you were discussing in the previous segment, where no candidate's really broken above 30% or stayed above 30% consistently. But more than that, we have never had on the Republican side this process where the duration that's going to be demanded by a front-loaded proportional allocation of delegates. So in other words, nobody can lock it up early, and it stays sort of amorphous or in suspended animation as it appears to be for the moment. I don't think it's going to stay like that. And then that leads to conversations, and I do think they're cocktail conversations, about another entrant or a brokered convention.
OK, let me bring in Steve Deace. I mean, Steve Deace, clearly the Republican Party itself is still wrestling over the kind of candidate they really want to get behind, and they haven't decided yet. So what do you think? I mean, is the field still open, or are they in the end going to choose now from what would appear to be a narrowing field?
Well, I would say this about Sarah Palin. If anybody could pull it off, it's probably her. She's been defying the odds, both good and bad, throughout her political career. And I think Mary's right that there's a lot of cynicism about the process in general, and I think she's right to point to the interview you just did. I mean, I once sat in my own office building and listened to Tim Pawlenty look me right in the eye and tell me one-on-one he was running for president so that somebody like Mitt Romney doesn't become the nominee. And so here I am sitting waiting to come on your show, listening to Pawlenty extol the virtues of Mitt Romney, the man. I mean, Tim Pawlenty's the guy that coined the phrase Obamacare. And I think, you know, if Tim Pawlenty thought Mitt Romney was such a great candidate, we all knew Romney was going to run again in 2012. Why did Pawlenty put himself into debt, take months away from his family to run for president himself? He could have saved himself and the American people a lot of time by just endorsing and supporting Romney from the get-go.
And Steve, you know Iowa well. Ron Paul is gaining a bit of traction there. Newt Gingrich slipping back a bit. Knowing the sort of lay of the land there, how do you see things panning out the next couple of weeks?
I think that we are on a collision course with a Ron Paul victory in the Iowa caucuses. And I think the only thing, Piers, that's going to stop it at this point is some kind of coalescing of conservatives, particularly values voters, around one candidate, maybe even a team up of candidates. I just think that this thing is so fractured now, and the time is so remote, and the clock is ticking, that I think Ron Paul, as unconventional of a candidate as he is, he's done the most job of setting up the best job of setting up the most conventional campaign. They do smart ad buys. He's got maybe the best political organization in the state of Iowa that doesn't belong to Tom Harkin or Charles Grassley, and he's done it the right way. He has cultivated Iowa for years. So I think barring a coalescing, we're going to see Ron Paul win the Iowa caucuses, and it just seems like the crankier he gets, the crazier he gets, the more crotchety he gets, people love him all the more, because I think the majority of Iowans are so fed up with Washington and so fed up with the system that even on the stuff Paul says on foreign policy that a lot of conservatives view as very dangerous, they sort of view him as a way to hit Control-Alt-Delete on the system. And right now, he's in good shape.
Let me bring Mary back in. Mary, let me ask you, I mean, Ron Paul could well win in Iowa. You could see Mitt Romney win, say, in New Hampshire. You could see Newt Gingrich then win in South Carolina. I mean, the way this has been structured now, this year coming up, with New York and California and so on coming much later, this process could go on for months and months and months, with the leadership changing quite dramatically, couldn't it?
That's right. Or Perry, depending on how he does in Iowa, could make his mark in South Carolina. What I don't think is going to happen, and I'm loath to make predictions in a cycle like this, is that Ron Paul is going to make much of a difference beyond Iowa, other than the parts of his message that are really relevant, the Federal Reserve, the growth of government. He's a good message candidate in the way that several elements of the Ross Perot message was so important, and long life, had a long shelf life. So if he wins in Iowa, that's not dispositive or predictive of anything else. Bob Dole and Pat Robertson beat my candidate in 1988, George Herbert Walker Bush, who was only the vice president because he had won the Iowa caucuses in 1980, giving him the big mo, and then Reagan was forced to put him on the ticket, and the rest was history. So Iowa has, I don't want to say a checkered history, it just has a history of being Iowa and carefully vetting candidates that make sense to it, and it does clarify a lot of positions, but there have been plenty of candidates who have lost Iowa or won Iowa, whatever the case, the opposite, and that did not impact the future of the nomination.
That is completely true, and it may continue to be fluid for, I think, quite some time. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you, Piers.
Coming up, America is obsessed with superstar Tim Tebow. I'll talk to the man who wrote the book on him when we come back.